Also, Justice A.K. Ganguly joining us from Kolkata. Ujjwal Nikam is joining us from Mumbai tonight. And Mukul Mudgal joining us from Delhi. He is the former Chief Justice of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. Gentlemen, I'll beg your indulgence if all of you would just stay on with me. Since the ranks have been opened up by Rahul Gandhi, I also have on the broadcast with us Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Rajya Sabha MP from the Congress. He's a senior advocate in his own right. Amitabh Sinha of the BJP legal cell, Palok Basu and Vinod Sharma, both jurists joining us live on the broadcast as well. They've served in high courts across the country. Dr. Singhvi, if I can begin with you, let me get to the premise of where we are right now, because the legal waters of what happens next seems unclear. Would you be of the opinion that it is best that the jurists, the judges themselves, sort it out?
Absolutely. This kind of thing is always best sorted out within, not from without, not externally. I must say that it's a sad moment for people like us who spent a lifetime. But normally I would oppose anything like a press conference. It should not enter the realm of the judiciary. However, extraordinary situations and allegations may well justify a mode which is extraordinary. Question is this an extraordinary issue? Now, if the allegations or the suggestions in the letter are true, this appears to be extraordinary. There are two broad points in the letter. One is about allocation, bench rostering, bench making, and the second is about the memorandum of procedure. Now, Just Loya's case is not mentioned there, but clearly we all seem to have seen it on television, unless there is some utter confusion.
It was mentioned in the press conference, in the answer to a question.
Specifically said yes to a question about Judge Loya.
Yes, correct.
Yes. Now, if that is so, then two serious questions arise. One is, of course, that the Chief Justice, as the leader of the group, must step out, take leadership position and embrace his judges and say, look, let bygones be bygones. For future, it will not happen. That is a must. That is important, because collegiality requires the Supreme Court will stop functioning. This is our brightest, best institution. It will go up in flames. Second, it does raise some issues, and this is what we are avoiding, but I must say it regretfully, where this issue is intersecting with the corridors of power. Both the issue of memorandum of procedure, which was decided from 93 all the way up now, says if the Supreme Court recommends, you must agree, reject it once. Supreme Court re-recommends, you must agree. Now, today, I wrote an open letter in the Times of India some 3 or 4 months ago. If the judiciary was to issue a small contempt notice to the Law Secretary or the Law Minister, this kind of 469 vacancies would not happen, because the government is not able to decide or agree to the recommendations.
Okay.
That's one of the issues hinted at and clearly stated in the letter. The second issue is about benches. The feeling that matters of moment in the corridors of power go to relatively junior benches is a very important issue of independence. My only concern is what is basic structure of the Constitution is the independence of the judiciary.
Okay.
And this impinges directly on that.
Okay, so if you'll allow me to follow up, sir.
Do require, I think, a very serious and a close look.
You're suggesting, and well,
yes,
you know how to argue before all these judges, and I'm sure you have, and you're choosing your words very carefully. You're suggesting that this intersects with the corridors of power. What is the difference between intersecting with the corridors of power and going on to impute some kind of collusion, sir?
Well, one aspect is dissension and difference amongst themselves, for which the extraordinary remedy of a press conference is adopted.
Yes.
That is one part. The second part is, what is the content at the base of this letter or the meeting today morning? Don't forget, there are 3 things. One is a letter, one is a meeting of 5 judges today morning, and the third is an affirmative comment by the senior-most third judge of the Supreme Court, Justice Gogoi. Add them together. Are both these issues not intersecting at the highest level of the corridors of power? One in terms of administrative appointments, the other in terms of something which happened today, Judge Loya's case, and earlier instances of similar kinds.
Okay, so Abhishek Manu Singhvi, the government says,
why should we be
in public today,
nice
the government says in public today that we are not interfering in their matter. Now, if this is specifically a judicial dispute, one would credit them that they don't have a role in interfering in this matter, so that's perhaps the right course of action. But if you say it intersects the corridors of powers, how do you view that?
There's a very delicious irony here. I entirely agree that they should not interfere, because interference in the judiciary is precisely what, according to me, is one part of one subtext of the letter. There's no question of interfering now. The interference is hinted at somewhere in the letter.
Okay. So
that's the problem.
Okay. So, Dr. Singhvi, just quickly taking it ahead before I need to get the two justices into the conversation also, but just quickly taking it ahead. Your party president, Rahul Gandhi, has made a very brief statement, and he has said democracy is under threat. Now, there's a similar statement that has been made by one of the judges this morning in his press conference. When we say democracy is under threat from a political podium, sir, do we risk confusing or mudding the issue?
A political podium does not exist like an ivory tower. It also includes real life, it includes society and our country. Democracy is very vital for all of us, and politics is not away from it. There was a statement by the Congress party preceding Rahul Gandhi's statement, then there was a statement by Rahul Gandhi. What is he saying? A very simple thing. The heart of basic structure of the Constitution, which even a constitutional amendment can't take away, is many things. Democracy, free and fair elections, independent judiciary is the third limb of basic structure. Now here, if independence of judiciary and democracy is possibly impinged, undermined, then it's a very, very serious thing which every stakeholder of the country, every part, doesn't matter politics, doesn't matter judges, doesn't matter anybody, must be concerned about it. Speak about
one fellow MP,
and
sir.
there have been very words of
so you're saying that the words have been chosen very carefully,
there is no
and it is only reasonable
right center attack of a political kind.
For a political party not to be sitting on the sidelines when things of moment are passing by, and I accept where your point is coming from, but there's one fellow member of parliament, sir, from the left parties who has decided that this should be debated in Parliament. He's gone and met one of the judges. Do you think this is an issue for Parliament to debate?
Personally, I don't agree with the visit physically and the meeting. I'm not suggesting at all it is in any manner culpable or objectionable. It might have been a very innocent and a very natural or spontaneous action because people know each other. But I don't think it's appropriate and ought perhaps not to have been done, especially today. However, equally, nothing can prevent the plenary right of Parliament to discuss. There is no bar on Parliament discussing. Yes, in the course of discussion, you can't take names, you can't impute motives, and you can't attack judges who are not parties. But institutionally, as a collectivity, this is possibly the most important organ of state. It is certainly more powerful and more important than both legislature and executive. In
straightforward, sir.
Then why cannot a crisis
before I go to the learned former judges,
I'm sure.
Abhishek Manu Singhvi, what needs to happen? Now, you've said that there is an intersection here with the corridors of power. What needs to happen for this to be a closed matter both in the judiciary and in politics?
It's not as difficult as one might think. It's a very good question, and it's not as difficult as one might think. I would say, and let's not just, beat around the bush and use adjectives, if the Chief Justice, he is the leader, he has to take the first step. He steps out, embraces his brethren and says, there may have been problems in the past, let bygones be bygones. I am now sitting down with you and making 5 rules, 6 rules, 10 rules, simple rules which we will follow. There is nothing which will prevent a harmony prevailing, because look, the problem today is, Rishabh, harmony is vital for a reason that over the years you have made the whole Supreme Court functioning based on the word collegium. Collegium means collegiality. Collegiality means collectivity. How is it that you are going to be collegial if you are on kutti?
Okay, no, I agree with the premise. So are we then in the hope, sir, and are we then quickly, Dr. Singhvi, are we in the hope then that if there is a judicial consensus that now emerges after this, now what that specific consensus will be, we don't know, and who will intermediate that, we don't know, but will that eviscerate, sir, the political question?
There is no political question as far as the judicial part is concerned. The political question arises, I wouldn't even call it political. I think the question which political parties are entitled to raise, let me rephrase myself, it is not a political question at all. The question which political parties and you and me as citizens and every human being in India is entitled to raise is, look, the under plus the meeting today morning, plus the observation of Justice Gogoi, appears to suggest two very serious things which require immediate reform. And both of them are intimately related to, as I said, the corridors of power. That's something which the letter says.
All right. Dr.
The memorandum procedure is not for you to approve or me to approve.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, stay with me, sir. Stay with
Judge
me.
Loya issue is not raising an issue between a contractual dispute between A and B.
Yes, yes. Let me quickly rope in the two learned justices joining us on the broadcast as well. Vinod Sharma, Palok Basu, they've served in high courts right across this country. Palok Basu, sir, if I could come to you. Mr. Justice, here is the premise that has been raised, that this is an issue of not only concern to the judiciary, it has to be an issue of concern to the nation at large. So it has been brought into the domain of the nation at large. Now, how do we ensure that the judges who must now in the end resolve it amongst themselves, that the moral cause doesn't get muddied by politics?
The answer is very simple. The issues which have been raised presently relate to a judicial proceeding. They do not relate to any other course of action in which public is involved. The Supreme Court decides its own issues itself.
Yes.
Now, if a Chief Justice forms a bench in a particular manner, it is his absolute prerogative. Now, if the other judges feel that, yes, the bench should be different, they can talk to the Chief Justice, they can make a recommendation, they can persuade him. But Chief is the chief amongst the equals. Therefore, his power of forming the bench is absolute. There is no reason to think that one judge is deficient than the other one in the Supreme Court, or someone is more efficient than the other judge of the Supreme Court. They are all judges of the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court functions as a court, not as a judge. The court is defined in the Constitution of India. Supreme Court acts as Supreme Court. High courts act as High Court. Now the Article 32 is there, where citizen gets a direct right to approach to the Supreme Court.
Correct, yes.
Or for any contravention of the fundamental rights. So similarly, the citizen can go to the High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution of India.
Okay.
But then judicial aspect is totally different.
Okay, it's happened. You know, I agree with the premise, Justice Basu, and if you permit me the interjection, sir.
Internally.
Now this has happened. The press conference has happened. Whether it was the right thing or wrong thing, I'm sure we'll be debating in the annals of legal practice for many decades, sir. But it's happened now. There can only be two premises. Once you go into the public domain is highly politically charged. There's no running away from it. There'll be interpretations politically across party lines. You can't run away from it. And then there's the judicial domain. What's the judicial solution right now, sir, before we get into the political one?
There is no judicial solution because there is no judicial problem.
Okay.
It is, the letter itself talks about a problem which is administrative. Administrative in the sense that the bench formation is absolute prerogative of the Chief Justice of India.
Okay.
Therefore, no other judge has a say in the matter. The maximum that they can do is to persuade the Chief Justice, kindly form a bench like this, sir, make a suggestion to him. Beyond this, there is no power.
Okay, so you're not convinced by the merit of the argument that has been made in the letters by the judges that seem to suggest that there has to be some consensuality about the process. Just stay with me, sir. Let me invite Mr. Justice Vinod Mishra, also has been listening in to all of us very patiently. Mr. Justice Sharma, my straight question to you, sir: how do we now take an issue which I'm sure has to be beyond just an issue of rostering, of just figuring out who goes into which case goes into which, or goes into which judges' chambers or before which judge, sir. And we have presumed that there is a larger issue here, that the judges who have underlined it in their letter but have chosen not to elucidate, they say, to protect the integrity of the court. How do we address these issues which have now become public now back behind the closed doors of the judges, sir?
See, the answer is very simple. See, the question is, those judges have also not said that we want the roster to be framed according to what we feel. They have only said what is the basic settled law, that the law should, the justice should not be done, but it seems to have been done also. The allegations are that when you allocate a particular type of cases to a particular bench, it creates a doubt in the mind of public or the judiciary functionaries of the judiciary. So they have only said, the Chief Justice, that why don't you follow some norms, because for the day, right from the beginning, the Supreme Court has been following certain norms. They have been dealing with the cases of public importance are dealt with in a particular manner. Why should there be sudden change in that matter? That is the only their grievance.
Okay.
They have nowhere said that it should come to A judge or B judge.
Okay.
They said follow a settled principle of law. Why should
So if on face value,
particular bench and give public
Justice
a
Sharma,
chance?
if on
Yes.
face value we take this as an administrative issue and not a deeper malaise, which others seem to be suggesting, if we take this as an administrative issue alone, sir, on face value, the question now is that it is now in the public domain, an administrative issue. How do we get this out of the public domain and back into the corridors of the judges? Can it be done?
Yeah, it certainly can be, because even if it is an administrative issue, it is also settled law that administrative issues can't be arbitrarily decided. So they can, the best problem is best solution, what the courts have been doing earlier. They have to sit in a full bench, they can sit, or
Okay.
they can sit in a chamber.
Okay, is there any room?
Discuss and iron out their differences. It is not much.
Justice
because
Sharma, is there any
no
room? The
personal
government
interest.
says it won't interfere. Publicly it said so, that it won't interfere. Is there any room for government interference, or is that the right premise?
No, the government, as a matter of fact, has no such power to interfere in this matter.
Okay,
What,
so let me quickly go back to
possibly
Justice
interference
Basu.
can be there.
Okay,
They
Justice Basu, if I can rope you back in. Now, there have been members of parliament, you'll be aware of Mr. D. Raja, who now want this issue debated in parliament, sir. Does parliament have a role in debating it? Because the politicians argue that this is not a segregated issue, this is a national issue. We can't leave it only to the judges once they brought it to the public attention.
What is public issue? The issue is, in the case is that particular case should not be listed before X judge or Y judge. How is it a matter for public's conscience? Public is interested in the decision of the case through a bench of the Supreme Court. And all the judges, as I insist and I stick to it, all judges, according to the members of the bar, are of equal integrity, equal intelligence. All are Supreme Court judges.
Yes.
If we start segregating one judge into one group, another judge into another group, if we make groups out of the judges, that is the tragedy for the
Okay, Justice, just stay with me, sir. I quickly want to give a chance
thing is tragedy for the
to Amitabh
democracy.
Sinha.
This
He is from the
thinking is
BJP
tragedy
legal
for
cell,
the-
joining us on the broadcast tonight. Mr. Sinha, sorry we lost you due to a technical reason a bit earlier. So let me get you into the weight of this conversation, sir. I've had Dr. Singhvi sitting with me and two former judges from the high courts around India sitting with us. And the premise of the argument, sir, is before you is this, that an issue that has been raised by the judges need not just be an internal administrative issue. It might just be something that also intersects with the corridors of power. If you can hear me, Mr. Sinha.
Yeah. Now I can hear.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
See,
So, does it
first of
intersect
all,
with the corridors of power,
I'd like
sir?
to
Is
request
that the
you
premise?
One submission that
Yes, please go ahead.
I would like to be introduced as a Supreme Court lawyer and a citizen of the country.
Fair enough, sir.
See, I am a BJP activist, I am a political activist, but I am here as a concerned Indian citizen, and I am really perturbed with what has happened today. Let me tell you very frankly that what has happened today is not only unprecedented, which Mr. Learned, president of a leading political party, has said that it is unprecedented. This is unfortunate, because this actually involves the sanctity of the highest temple of judiciary in the country. In the country, every citizen looks at judiciary, and that also Supreme Court, the last hope. So if such type of things starts happening, then all the people they are feeling like they are left with no option where they will go. There is a code of conduct, there is service rule, and all those judges, I am here to raise two issues. If those judges, they are 4 out of 23, if they had some problem, then they should have either waited for their turn to come to cleanse the system, because one of them is tipped to become the Chief Justice of India in few months. So either he should have waited for and have patience. Otherwise, he should have all of them, which actually they behaved like activists and invited press to talk. This is unprecedented.
Okay, so you say unfortunate.
That
what do you think that has motivated them, sir?
Resigned
because
from their post,
they've come up and raised this, and I'm sure the gravity.
Said anything they wanted to say.
Mr. Sinha, the gravity of what they were doing was bearing large upon these judges. They are people who know their business very well at the highest level, Mr. Sinha. If you can hear me, that if the gravity of what they were bearing large was bearing large on them, one would presume that they've thought about these things and yet made that decision. Let me quickly get Dr. Singhvi back into the conversation. Dr. Singhvi, now Amitabh Sinha, Dr. Singhvi is suggesting that this is unfortunate. Now one can presume that it's unfortunate. We wish we had never come to pass. But now that it's happened, sir, do we prescribe motivation to what has happened, or do we continue to take it at face value?
No, I think that it is unfortunate is a mild word. Nobody will disagree that it's a terrible incident. It ought never to have happened, because I always believe that from the wrecks and ruins of constitutionalism in the 30s and 40s, so many countries became independent. India has remained the only, I repeat, a remarkable exception, a miracle, of the only country with a true democracy and a vibrant Supreme Court of absolute limitless judicial power. Our SAARC law neighbors don't have it, South Asia doesn't have it, Africa doesn't have it, several other independent countries don't have it. So this is something will be a very sad day if we are going to be compared to, wrecks and ruins of constitutionalism across the globe. So it is a sad moment. But having said that, I think while, as I said at the beginning, I would not like these things to be through a press conference.
Yes.
If the matters are of such a grave moment, and if the judges tell you that we wrote a letter, then we wrote a second letter, then we met in the morning and things don't happen, then I think sometimes extraordinary methodologies and modes may have
so
to
you're
be
convinced there has to be deeper.
Now the way out is immediate redressal of at least some of these grievances.
This is not
now that will not happen without leadership and statesmanship.
Yeah, this is not a petulant decision. It's been taken with gravity, and one can presume it has been taken with gravity. Let me quickly get Amitabh Sinha. Yeah, Amitabh Sinha.
No, I don't think Rishabh.
Yeah, finish your thoughts.
Only one second. Rishabh, I don't think you can ascribe the word petulant to people like Justice Shalmeshwar, Gogoi, or people like them who are all extremely senior, experienced, and good people.
Exactly the point. So if it's not a petulant decision, it's been taken with gravity, one can presume that there is some substance to it, although we can disagree with perhaps the methodology, which is what's being debated here. But there's a larger issue, and I want to get Amitabh Sinha back in. Amitabh Sinha, you say this should not have happened. Now, do you then ascribe motivation to something that has happened like this?
Yes, certainly. I have serious objection on Mr. Dr. Singhvi's statement that the integrity of all those judges are unquestionable. I am not raising doubts about the integrity of the judges. I am telling and I am trying to say that the procedure is wrong, and it will create any very long-term dent upon the judicial system and the entire national system. This is a sacrosanct and very pious system of the democracy. And number two, if they would have patience, they would have waited for their turn to be the Chief Justice of India.
Okay,
and
factually you're not wrong. Factually not wrong. There's an argument that can be made. But here we are. Amitabh Sinha, we can discuss the methodology, but it's happened now. This has come forth. Now there are people in opposition party ranks who now want to take this through Parliament.
Yes,
Rahul Gandhi has come out and said that this is a genuine threat to democracy.
Political parties should restrain. Political parties should restrain in jumping their guns and just coming into this mudslinging operation. The political party, if they are matured enough, they should wait, because this is a question of national issue.
No, but Amitabh Sinha, the question of national issue is exactly the point the opposition parties are raising. They've said,
what will happen?
A judge has come out and said that democracy is under threat. Now, here's a responsible person using all his gravitas and making this statement.
They had other options also.
So the opposition says, how can we sit on the sidelines and pretend that we live in a different country and this is not our country, that we are equally involved if the judges are involved? Mr. Sinha.
You just leave I will request all the opposition parties who are basically trying to make browning points out of this ugly situation of the higher judiciary. I would like to request that wait for some time, and I am pretty sure that the judiciary is so serious and so their gravity is so that much that they will resolve this issue amongst themselves.
Okay.
Why unnecessary politicizing this issue?
I need to slip into a short break.
This issue is unfortunate for the entire country's interest,
yes.
but the political parties should refrain.
Okay, I need to slip into a short break. Dr. Singhvi, thank you for joining us. I know you have to leave us now. We continue. The rest of the judges and our panelists are staying with us. Joining us.